All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive. And this time, we are throwing it back to 2005
Oh, yeah.
to a track that I'm sure you know and love.
You know it.
Chamillionaire Ridin' Dirty.
Classic.
Huge hit. But we're going to go deeper than just like, oh, this song was a banger, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get into the cultural significance of it, some of the themes and the lyrics,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. And to help me do that, as always, I've got an expert in the house.
We get a beer.
So let's set the scene. Okay. 2005.
2005.
What's going on? Like, what is the vibe?
Okay, so the era of ringtone rap, right?
Okay.
You got Soulja Boy coming up, like
Yeah.
dem franchise boys, like this is catchy.
Catchy
and
stuff.
really high energy.
For sure.
But what's interesting is under the surface, you have this like really palpable tension,
Okay.
especially in communities of color. So this is the era of Stop and Frisk.
Right.
Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell. These stories are still fresh in everyone's minds.
Right. And so Ridin' Dirty, this isn't just a song that's coming out in a vacuum, right? This is in response to very real things that are happening.
It's a reflection of what's happening in society at the time.
So when you hear Chamillionaire rapping about, like, they see me rolling, they hate, he's not just talking about, like...
He's not talking about, like, his friends being jealous.
Right, exactly, yeah.
This is deeper.
He's talking about, like...
He's talking about racial profiling.
Yeah?
He's talking about that feeling of being watched and targeted simply because of the color of your skin.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, too, how he uses, like, the car as, like, a symbol.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's like you were saying, this is the era of, like, you know, big rims and...
Customization car culture is huge.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like you said, it's kind of like a symbol for success, but also a symbol that makes you a target.
Right.
Like you're more likely to be pulled over if you're driving a certain type of car.
Yeah. And this is something that I think a lot of people can relate to, even if they're not, you know...
For sure.
A rapper or driving a fancy car, whatever. It's that idea of...
Absolutely.
Being judged based on your appearance rather than like who you are or what you're doing.
Driving while black is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that has been talked about for decades. And this song really captures that feeling.
And what's interesting, too, is like he's not just talking about his own experiences, right?
Exactly.
He brings in Crazy Bone.
Crazy Bone.
Who has like a whole other verse.
Giving a different perspective.
Yeah, and they kind of like play off each other.
Yeah, they feed off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like you said, it's not just one person's experience. It's like a shared experience.
Right.
It's a collective anxiety that a lot of people in these communities were feeling at the time.
And so using this song as like a vehicle to talk about these larger issues, I think is what makes it so powerful.
It's social commentary disguised as a party anthem.
Right. And it's genius because it works.
It does.
Like, you know.
Because you can bump this song at a party, but then you also think about the lyrics and you're like, wait a minute, there's something else going on here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so we've kind of set the stage a little bit. We've talked about the context, but let's get into some of the specific lyrics now.
Let's do it.
Because I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at like the actual words that they're saying.
For sure.
What are some of the lines that really jump out to you?
Okay, so right off the bat.
Right off the bat, you got that, they see me rolling, they hating.
Yeah.
Like right there, that to me just encapsulates the whole vibe.
It's that feeling of being judged before you even do anything.
Exactly.
Just based on how you look, what you're driving.
And he says, too, like, laws of patrolling, you know, that they hate me. Like, this is not even like a...
It's a recurring theme.
Yeah, like, this has happened before.
Right. This is not a one-time thing. This is...
He's speaking from experience.
This is his life.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note, like, this is not just, like, a personal vendetta against Chamillionaire. Right. This is him speaking to a larger issue.
Right.
Of police harassment and racial profiling.
Yeah. And then you get to Crazy Bones verse.
Oh, man.
And that, to me, is when it, like, kicks up another notch.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, the anxiety and the paranoia.
Like, the walls are closing in.
Yeah, yeah.
He's talking about the Popaw's scope.
Yeah.
Like, he knows they're watching him.
Yeah.
Even when they're not there, he feels their presence.
Yeah, it's like this constant feeling of being surveilled.
Exactly.
Like, you can't even relax.
You're always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, how they both use, like, humor as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, Chamillionaire talks about the cops smiling like they think they've got him.
Right.
But he knows he's clean.
It's that, you might try to play me, but I'm one step ahead. It's a way of taking back some power.
Right? Right.
Because in that moment, when you're being confronted by law enforcement,
Yeah.
you might feel powerless.
Right.
But humor is a way to kind of take control of the situation.
Yeah, to like disarm the situation a little
to
bit.
take the edge off.
Yeah.
Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Right, exactly. And then there's that line at the end of Chamillionaire's verse.
Which one?
Where he says, like, a message to the laws telling them we hate you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he just lays it out there.
No holds barred.
Yeah.
He is angry.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to say it.
And it's powerful because it's like...
It's raw.
It's real.
It's honest.
Yeah, he's not sugarcoating it.
He's not trying to please anybody.
Right.
He's speaking his truth.
Yeah, and that's what makes this song so much more than just like a catchy party anthem.
Exactly.
It's like a statement.
It's an anthem.
Yeah.
It's a call to action.
So we've talked about the context. We've talked about the lyrics, but like, what does it all mean?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Why does a song like Ridin' Dirty still matter in 2024?
Well, because sadly, a lot of the issues that Chamillionaire and Crazy Bone were rapping about back in 2005,
right,
they're still relevant today.
It's like the more things change,
the more they stay the same.
Yeah, which is kind of depressing.
It is disheartening because you would hope that we would have made more progress by now.
Right.
But the reality is racial profiling is still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Police brutality is still a thing.
Yeah.
These communities are still being over-policed and harassed.
So it's like we can't just dismiss this as like, oh, that was just a song from 2005.
Right.
Like it's still relevant.
It's a reminder that we have a lot of work to do.
It's a reminder that we have to do better.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's why songs like Ridin' Dirty are so important.
Right.
Because they force us to confront these uncomfortable truths. They make us think about these issues even if we don't want to.
And it's not just about raising awareness either, right?
Right.
Like music can be a tool for like processing complex emotions.
100%.
For starting conversation.
For building empathy.
Yeah.
Because music, it bypasses our defenses. Okay. It goes straight to our hearts and souls.
Yeah. You feel it first.
You feel it first, and then you think about it later.
Right. Ooh. Right. Exactly. You know, that makes me think about like other songs that have come out since then.
Yeah.
That have also kind of touched on these same themes. Like I'm thinking about like Kendrick Lamar's.
Powerful song.
Or Childish Gambino's This Is America.
Another one.
Like these songs sparked like national conversations.
Absolutely.
About race and identity and police brutality.
They got people talking who weren't talking before.
Yeah, and that's what's so amazing about music. Right?
It's a universal language.
It can bring people together around these really difficult issues.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's so important to understand cultural products within their historical and social context. Because if you just listen to Ridin' Dirty as a catchy song, you're missing the bigger picture.
Right. You're missing the message. So as we're wrapping up here, I have to ask, like, could a song like Ridin' Dirty even exist today?
That's the question, isn't it?
And have the same impact? I mean, things have changed.
Yeah.
But have they really changed that much?
I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
We've made some progress in terms of like awareness.
Okay.
People are more willing to talk about these issues now.
Right.
But the underlying problems are still there.
So where does that leave us?
It leaves us with a choice.
Okay.
We can either become complacent or we can keep fighting for change.
And I think that's a good place to leave it.
I agree.
You know, we've talked about a lot today.
We did.
But ultimately, it's up to each and every one of us to take this information and do something with it.
To make a difference.
To make the world a better place. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up for today's deep dive.
It's been real.
Always a pleasure. As always, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.